Hello everybody and welcome to the video. So this video is about overcoming financial challenges and struggles in the van and how I live on quite a tight budget for van life, and I'm going to share with you how I balance everything out. So first of all, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you're new here, just want to let you know my name is Brenna and I have been living in my Toyota Hiace now for 4 years full-time with my dog Abby. Every year, at the end of the year, I do a video about what my expenses were for all these different categories that I have, and I share it with you. Now this one's a bit different. I'm doing this video because I had a really rough start to the year, emotionally and financially. I got hit with a lot, and my curiosity got the better of me yesterday, and I was like, I need to total up my expenses. I want to see where I'm sitting. I do keep a written budget. I use an Excel spreadsheet, and I do record absolutely everything that I spend money on, even down to $1.50 for a chocolate bar or something. I record absolutely everything and it goes into the categories. And I do have a budget for everything. I am still working part-time. I work online as a bookkeeper, and my income is between $950 to $1,000 a month. So my budget needs to come within that. And I also try and allow for savings in there. I'm only 59 years old. I say I'm semi-retired, so I'm still trying to save money as I get older. Now, as I already said, the first quarter of this year, I took a big hit. Two things happened. First of all, the first thing that wasn't that big was I put my van in for maintenance. I had to replace 4 new tires, which I knew that was my choice, and I put really good quality tires on. But I also needed to do a few more things like ignition leads, and I can't remember what else. So my total van maintenance for the first quarter came to $1,360, which is a lot for one quarter. Now the next thing that happened is my dog tore her cruciate ligament. And that's where the big expense really came in. Now, I do have insurance on my dog, and they did help out. For the first quarter, I was out of pocket $4,400 for the vet bill for the dog. So for that first quarter, my total expenses were about $12,500, and $6,000 of that was just the van and the dog. So that was a lot. Given the first 2 years in the van, my average spendings were about $28,000 a year. I was almost halfway through all my money in the first 2 months, in the first 3 months. So that was a lot. Now, this averaged out to be about $960 a week. And so luckily for me, my income was able to manage that. But I had nothing for savings for the first 3 months of the year, which wasn't ideal. In the second quarter, I had another big hit. The van needed some major repairs. I had to replace the rear diff and rear wheel bearings, and this came to a total of $2,600. But that was offset because in the second quarter, the insurance for the dog reimbursed me $2,000. So that offset that expense. So I had the money back in my account, and that expense was offset, which put me on a track to put me on track to keep within my budget for that quarter. So the second quarter came to about $7,400, which is a lot more normal for my expenses, and that worked out to be about $568 a week. So I was back on track and back into saving. The third quarter did not have any major expenses. The dog didn't get sick, the van didn't break down, everything just went normally according to plan. The only thing that I really blew my budget on was food. I spent that third quarter out in the wheat belt area, and food out there is so expensive. It's phenomenal. But I didn't want to drive into a major city because then I'm spending a fortune on petrol. So my food went pretty over for that third quarter. But the other thing is I also started to eat a lot more protein, a lot more chicken and fish. I am working very hard at the moment to really build my muscle. I'm approaching 60. I'm working really hard on my training and I need protein to get my muscle back up. So my total for the third quarter was $7,600 and that averaged about $590 a week. So for the last 2 quarters, I've been within my budget. I've done really well. There's just that first quarter that really blew me out. And I'll be honest, I don't think I can recover from that. I can't live so low that I don't get that back. That's just going to be what it is. That first quarter of the year, there was no savings, but I had the money to pay for everything. So far, for 2024, in the first 9 months, I have already spent $27,500. That is what I spent pretty well in all of 2021 and 2022 each year. So I've already spent in 9 months what I spent in a whole year for 2022. That works out to an average of about $700 a week. So that average is definitely up. I have a goal for the fourth quarter and that is to only spend $7,500, which sits on track with the last 2 quarters. It will average about $580 a week. So if I can stick to my budget, nothing else goes wrong, that will bring my total to around $35,000 for the year, which was equivalent to what last year's was. Last year's was more because I did a big trip all around Australia and I spent a fortune on petrol and the ferry ride and things like that. If I can still keep in my budget and keep it at $35,000, that averages $673 a week, which still gives me money for saving. I wanted to talk about one of the ways that I save money, keep my budget tight, and that is staying at caravan parks. So if you can see, I'm staying at a caravan park now, and I have done a lot of caravan parks in the last 6 months. There's a few reasons for that. First of all, in the winter, the last 2 winters I house sat, and I didn't this winter. In the winter, it's very hard to keep your power up with cloudy days, and the days are much shorter, and I need to work online. So for me, it's just easier to go to a caravan park where I have power and I know I can get my work done with low stress. That's the whole thing. I'm trying to keep stress out of my life, so that's what I did. But I found some very inexpensive caravan parks. There was one, it was $139 for a week. Even at the moment where I'm staying, it's $150 a week. And I'm going to tell you, even though I'm paying that money for a caravan park, I'm going to tell you all the things I've realized I save money on when I do this. So the first thing is I save money on petrol because I'm not driving anywhere. So my petrol expense is zero. If I stay here for a week, I don't drive anywhere. So that balances out. The other thing I save on is consumables. So things like paper towels, because I usually use vinegar and water to clean my dishes with then paper towels. So I have access to a kitchen here and running water, and I can use the sink. The second thing is toilet paper. I'm using their toilets. I'm saving my toilet paper and my hand wash. The third thing is garbage bags. So normally if I'm out free camping and there's no toilet, I will poop in a bag. And so I could go through quite a few garbage bags with that. So I'm saving on garbage bags. So financially, even though it seems like it costs a lot to stay at the caravan park, it really does balance out in my budget. My petrol budget actually this year is, I have got like $1,000 sitting in there ready to be used. I just really haven't driven a lot because I've stayed so much at caravan parks, I've stayed still. So it does really help balance it out. I have to look at it. It all ebbs and flows normally, and some things will balance out. One of my biggest reasons also for staying at caravan parks is it gives me time to work on my projects. So this year I have a lot of projects I'm working on. I'm working on my adult book still, making videos. I'm working on my art. As some of you may know, I've just entered my first art show, and now I'm actually working on painting up some more canvas boards so that hopefully when my website goes live at the end of the year, I'll have some artwork on there to sell. So this just gives me time to work on everything without having to think about water, power, food, showers. It's just really less stress from my brain, and I can get more done. So I do have quite a tight budget, but it's flexible. So I keep a running total for the year. But this year, my budget as we sit here now is $2,000 over budget. and that is all sitting in the dog's account. The dog is $2,000 over her budget from her surgeries, and I'm not going to recoup that. That's going to be my loss. But apart from that, my budget balances out. So even with all the van repairs that I had to do, I've managed to save money in other places and balance it out. So that's what I recommend you do. You don't have to be so strict on one thing or the other. Like I said, my accommodation is up, but my petrol is way down, and then they balance each other out. Some of my food is up, but some of my supplements are down, taking less supplements, eating more real food. So it balances out in the end. So that is my experience with surviving financial challenges and just living on a tight budget while doing van life. Keep track of everything. Have a written budget, analyze it. You need to analyze it frequently and see if it's realistic. Where can you cut down? Where can you splurge more? But like I said, I know my income and I know my expenses, and I've still allowed myself to save. I know there are a lot of people that don't have jobs. There's a lot you can do online. I haven't made a video about that, but there are lots of other people on YouTube that have, so you can research what jobs you can have online. You could also work part-time in small towns. There's seasonal work. Maybe if you're younger, sometimes that's a bit more physical. There's house sitting that you can do. You can save a lot of money by house sitting, a lot. I saved a lot of money the last few years with house sitting. So there's lots that you can do to reduce your expenses. But I do recommend that you need to have a backup, because things are going to happen, things are going to go wrong, and you can't always live within your budget. I've managed to just kind of do it this year, live within my income, but yeah, you never know what the future will hold. All right, that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I will see you on the next one. All right, bye everybody.